This is a great package for improving user experience, especially for searching and navigating between pages. As you can see, it's called KBar right here. If I type in Command and key on my Mac OS or just Control key on the Windows, as you can see, it just show the dialog, and here I can just type in like a docs, for example, and if I hit enter, now we on the documentation, right? I can type in, for example, home. Now we on the home, and I can type in, for example, GitHub, right? And now we on the GitHub of the KBar, right? And that's really nice package that we are going to learn how to use that in this video. As you can see, this is what we are going to learn basically. Just really simple KBar demo. If I click this one in here or just typing Command key, as you can see, now we have the dialog. Even we are going to show you how to adding this an icon like a home icon, a docs icon, and a toggle icon in here, right? I can just click typing docs, for example. Now we on the docs. I can typing, for example, home, right? Now we on the home. So that's what we are going to learn in this video. So let's first generate the brand new Next.js application. I'm going to call that KBar demo. So first we need to install the package, which is npm install KBar. So I'm going to copy the command, go to terminal, and just hit enter. So basically what we need to create next is basically two components. The first is the KBar provider and then the KBar content. So let's try to create that. I'm going to creating that component on the component folder. Now, as you can see, we have these two components, KBar provider and KBar content inside the component folder. So let's try to run the npm run dev, and let's first working with the KBar provider. I'm going to generate RFC and change the component name to app KBar provider. And then this component is basically tag a children. So you can grab the children from the props, and the type of these children is basically React Node. So you can just type in here, React Node from the React. That's it. And what we are going to return in this component is basically KBar provider. So let me try to grab that KBar provider, come from the KBar package like this. And then we also need to render the children in here. So we can grab the children, come from the props, and render that in here just like this. And then this component is like an action, basically action set equals to. I'm going to put action variable in here as well. So let's try to create the action variable. I'm going to do that in here. Const action set equals to array. And as you can see, we have this error because on this action, we have to put the type of the action, which is action from the KBar, and this should be inside an array like that. And what we have to put in inside this array is basically object. And then inside this object, we have an ID. So ID, for example, I'm going to put this home, right? And then we also need to put, as you can see, we also need to put like a name, right? That's required basically. Name, I'm going to put that go to home, for example, right? Let's say we just have one action for now. And what we have to do next is basically render the app bar provider on the layout. Let's go to layout, and then we need to wrap the children here with that app KBar provider. Just put the children inside that, and here we go, right? So now we can just go back to localhost 3000. As you can see, we have this problem because KBar should be on the client, so that's why we have to change this component to the client. Use client like this. Save that, and here we go. So now if I type in command key, as you can see, nothing really happening because there is no content that we have to render basically. So let's try to working with the KBar content right now. On the KBar content, I'm going to make sure that this component should be client, and then I just want to copy and paste this KBar content. So this basically comes from the documentation. As you can see, the first thing is I just render the KBar portal, and then inside that I have the KBar positioner, right? And then KBar animator, and then KBar search, and then the result. For now, I just want to comment the result, right? Just like this. Let's just take a look. Is that work? I'm just not sure. As you can see, nothing just happening. So let's try to working with the result component right now. Here, I'm going to create that result component in here. So let's try to create a function called results, right? So let's go back to the documentation, and as you can see, what I just returned on this KBar content is just everything that you see in here: KBar portal, positioner, and etc. Right? It's same basically. And also for the KBar result, this is the example. So you can just copy and paste basically. So let's just try to do that KBar result in here. I just want to copy and just render that in here. Here we go. So it's basically just return the KBar result component from the KBar package. And then this result is basically props, I believe. As you can see, the result is basically come from the use matches. So you can just copy that and just render that in here. So this basically hooks come from the KBar as well. As you can see on this result, this is basically should be array, because in here we just map through that result, I believe, on render item active and etc. As you can see, if the item is string, just render that. If not, it should be have this styling in here. So let's try to just console log the result. I'm just wondering what the value inside that. Let's take a look here. I'm going to open inspect, and then let's take a look on the console. And then there's nothing in here. So let's try to refresh that again. So the reason why we not see anything on the console is just because this KBar content is not render, right? So we can just go back to layout and just render that in here, still inside the app KBar provider. And then we can just render that under the children like this. So just import that. Just like that. So now we should see value on the console. For now, just some error going on here. I'm just not sure what's happening. So let's try to just clean and type in comment key. And as you can see, we have this one array value. As you can see in here, we have this action. We have this ID and the name, right? This is basically come from the action that we already created right here, right? So if I copy and paste that, this should be, for example, docs, and go to docs, for example. So as you can see, if I type in comment key, now we have this dialog that show just really ugly for now. It's fine. But as you can see here, we have this array with two value action, blah, blah, blah in here. This two value first is name go to home. And then the second one is go to docs. So that means this is a render, right? Great. And I think now we have to styling this one right here. So let's try to go back to page. All right, on the home right here, I just want to just remove everything in here. So anyway, I just want to paste this really simple home page that we have heading one and just b tag. So let's take a look in here. As you can see, if I type in comment key, the background is not changed. I like to the background is something like a dark or something like that with like a opacity 40 maybe. So in here, I'm going to paste this class name with background black with a 40% transparent. So let's take a look. As you can see, that's what I want, right? That's what I want. Just look better. So now on the KBar animator, I also want to add class name. So in here, I'm going to paste this width to full. The maximal width is medium and the background is white. The rounded large, shadow large, and overflow is hidden. So let's take a look at the result. And I'm going to comment key. And as you can see, it's more better right now, right? Cool. So now let's adding some styling on the KBar search. So I'm going to paste this class name right here that have this width to full, the px, py, and border, and etc. So let's take a look. Here we go. Now the search is more better. Great. Now let's take a look at the result in here. We are going to styling that basically. Instead of using this inline style, I just want to remove that. And now I'm going to using styling from the Tailwind CSS. As you can see, I have this padding X, padding Y, cursor pointer. If the active is true, I just want to change the background to gray. Comment key. Now as you can see, it's more better. As you can see, if I hover, the background is gray 100. Super nice. And basically the search functionality just works. If I do docs, as you can see, now we just show the docs. Really nice. But the problem now is, for example, the go to docs, if I click that, nothing just happening. It's just because we're not adding like a action on the KBar provider in here on this object. Basically on this object, we can adding like a perform. So this perform is basically is fire when we click the this object, the docs, right? So what is this? So in here, you can just put anything you want. For example, you can add a function to run this router.push. So what is this? So this is basically just normal router. So here I'm going to create that a variable router set equals to use router come from the next navigation. And then now if I click that, right, I'm going to click the docs. Now we on the docs page, right? We not yet have that, but of course you can always adding that docs basically here. You can create docs/page.tsx and you can save that. Let's take a look. So now as you can see, we on the documentation page, right? That's simple. Here if I click go to home, nothing happened because on the home we're not adding any perform, right? So just copy this perform, go to the home object, and then if I click the home, it should be go to the just / which is on the home. Go to home. As you can see, now we on the home. It just works basically. And also, for example, in here on the search, user typing like a main, right? But the main is not available, but you want to, the main, it should be on the home. So you can adding that on the keyword. So here you can add like keyword and then just put like, for example, home main like this. So you can save. So now if user, right, just make sure you refresh that. If user search for the main, now the go to home page, it should be show on this list, right? That's just nice, right? Of course, you can adding that keyword on the docs in here. Just give any name you want, like documentation, and that's basically will works. And also there is a shortcut here. You can add like a shortcut, for example, H, right? I just want to copy and paste that in here. And for example, this one here, it should be D for documentation. So now here I can go back and just refresh, make sure everything is up to date. Now, as you can see, if I click typing, for example, D for docs, now we on the docs page, right? If I typing H for home, now we on the home. And if you want to add like another object in here, you can also do that. For example, I just want to copy and paste this theme right here that have ID theme. The name is toggle theme, the shortcut T, and etc. If I click that, it should be alert theme toggle demo, just like that. Now let's try here. I'm going to refresh and typing command and key. As you can see, now we on the toggle theme. We have the toggle theme. If I click that, now the alert is show. Great. So how about let me show you here on the KBar content, we have these type of item strings. What is this? So this basically another type on the action. Basically here, I'm going to show you. So for example, we have this object that have an ID settings, the name is settings, and the section is general. So now if I go back in here, typing command key, now it's not just render because we not just reload the browser. Now let's try that again. As you can see, now we have this general, right? General, it's just kind of like the section title. So we can styling this, of course. Let's go back to the KBar content and styling this item right here. So I'm going to paste the styling. As you can see, that have the PX, PY, and etc. So the result, it should be look like this. And also you can always adding like an icon in here, for example. So you can install package like npm install the Lucid React in here. I just want to remove the console log. Here we go. So now basically you can just import the icon and just render that on the action in here, and that will works basically. So let's try. So in the home object, I'm gonna paste this icon set equals to home. And also I'm going to copy that. Let's try to go to this docs. And in here, instead of home, I'm going to use file text icon like this. And also for the theme, for example, I'm going to use the icon like a moon, for example. This one right here. So now if I save, nothing should be happening because we not just render the icon for now. As you can see, nothing happening because we have to grab the icon and just render that on the KBar content right here basically. So on the component result, we can just paste this condition. So if the item.icon have a value, just render the span and then render the item.icon. So now the icon should be rendered like this. And of course, you can always styling that. For example, in here, you can put like a display flags, and then you can put like gap, for example, to save, and this is the result, right? Alright, so I think that's it guys for this video. Hope this is helpful and you can just implement the KBar package on your project. Thank you so much for watching. See you on the next one.